Well, we're getting even closer to the first Saturday in May, the first Saturday, it's actually the second Saturday in April that we have coming up on Saturday afternoon. Three major Derby preps across the country. We're going to focus this time around on the Grade 1 Bluegrass at Keeneland. Nick Tammaro here to cover the Bluegrass, which runs as the ninth race on a Saturday afternoon at Keeneland, 5:15 Eastern time. Scott Shapiro is here. Scott, it's springtime in Kentucky. We're back at Keeneland. Things are getting closer and closer to us being under the Twin Spires.
No doubt about it. Really looking forward to the start of the Keeneland meeting. Of course, getting back under the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs and final major preps, a couple more after this, including the Lexington. But we're really going to have a pretty good idea of the Kentucky Derby field, at least before scratches and whatnot for the 2023 field after Saturday, Nick.
Let's take a look at this field, and we'll start on the rail with the one Tappet Trice. And the rail is really part of the conversation for this son of Tappet, who's 3 for his last 3 for trainer Todd Pletcher, including a win in the Tampa Bay Derby. I guess first and foremost, Scott, how concerned are you with the inside post for a horse that's had some issues getting out of the gate and also has a running style that really is helped by him being outside of horses?
That's true. Overall, with closers, I don't usually dislike the rail, and I would expect kind of Luis Saez to be forced to sit off the pace. But you make a good point about the, lack of ability to get out of the gate already. Then you're drawn along the inside, and the big son of Tappet likes to be outside horses. I'm not overly concerned, Nick, but it's definitely worth discussing.
How much did you like his Tampa Bay Derby? I know, look, we put all these preps under the microscope. I do think he ran, personally, I think he ran fine. I think in the context of that race, it was a strong performance. It didn't come back particularly great on any kind of measurable speed figure. And I think I did want to see a little bit more.
I'm with you on that. He was 1-2 in the race. He was supposed to win. It didn't look like he was going to towards the back of the field. I know a lot of people have talked about that kind of trip being difficult at Tampa in general over their course coming from well off the pace, but it was a favorable race shape. Classic Car Wash, who finished second, was a mid-pack sort. Classic Legacy, I believe, was third. He was off the pace. So it did kind of set up for him. And just visually, it was a little bit underwhelming. Took him a long time to get going. Certainly a horse that I'm not worried about the distance, but in a race like this, and especially the Kentucky Derby, being way out the back, kind of being, I don't want to say a plotter because he's better than that, makes him tough to really like for me at a short price here and at maybe a relatively short price in the Kentucky Derby.
Agreed. Let's go to the 3 verifying horses I know both of us have some affinity for. Boy, the race shape feels like it suits him great.
Absolutely opposite of the Grade 2 Rebel when we saw him last. And he got out of the gates fine from the inside that day, Nick, but there was a lot of speed signed on. It was Frosted Departure and one of the Steve Asmussen runners that I'm powerful going at it on the front end. So, I think they would have liked to have been on the front end and didn't work out that day. They knew there was a lot of speed. Now you go into a race where there isn't very much speed. I would expect Major Blue for the coach, Dwayne Lucas, to be involved early on the front end and for verifying under Tyler Gaffleone, who takes over riding duties for the first time, to be able to sit just off the pace. He had some trouble in that last race. They came way over the top. It was a race that fell apart, a very forgivable effort. I thought he took a big step forward in his 3-year-old debut, and I think he's going to be pretty tough to beat. I hope he's the clear second choice. I don't know. That morning line maker had him kind of close along with Tappet Trice.
You get a hold of that guy. Tell him he really needs to get his act together. Let's look at Race Kane, who won the Gotham last time out, powerfully, in fact, drawing off to win by over 7 lengths at a 23-1. Now tries a dry surface, tries 2 turns, but does get back to the site of a pretty impressive maiden win last year.
Yeah, he was very good. Overcame a inquiry in that debut, in that second career start, first career win at Keeneland. That was at 1 turn. So was the Gotham win over the off track when he was very dominant, but I don't know what to make of that race. They went at it early. It was over the off going. A horse like this won by over 7 lengths. What did you make of that effort in that race in general?
I thought he ran well, in the context of that race. I don't know how much he was moved up by the slop. I think he was definitely helped by the strength of the pace. So, I think it's a fair effort to try and poke some holes in, but it's okay to do it on a horse that's going to be 6-1 or so. And I think if you were taking a relatively short price, you'd be a little bit more concerned. I do think Ben Colebrook's horses generally perform well at Keeneland. I know, that's kind of home base for him. So not surprised he ended up going here in lieu of a try in a race like the Wood Memorial. He seems like a definite contender to me. My hope is that he's a little bit more forward early. I don't really want him to drop all the way out of it because, in many ways, Scott, this field is made up of 1 speed horse, 1 stalker, and 9 closers. And I just don't think you want to get yourself stuck in that scrum of 9 closers.
Without question. Now, with Joel Rosario on board, not necessarily known for riding aggressively all that often and go trying 2 turns, I would agree with you. I think to have a legitimate chance in this spot, trying the mile and an eighth, he's going to need to be up close. I'm against him a little bit, but you make a really good point. Poking holes in horses like this when they're 2-1 is a much more worthwhile endeavor than when they're 6-1.
Agreed. There's a trio of runners in here from Kenny McPeek's barn, perhaps headed by Sun Thunder, who comes in off a 5th place effort in Louisiana Derby. He was graded stake placed, 2 back with a good run in the Risen Star. He is joined by Hayes Strike, who recently won the private terms, and the far outside drawn Mendelssohn's March, who didn't break his maiden last time out. He actually won a 2-life at Oaklawn after winning via disqualification on debut. Any of those 3 strike your fancy?
I think they're all a little bit interesting here underneath. Hayes Strike did take a really big step forward, was up closer to the pace in the private terms, ran a much career best effort. The question is now with Lasix not a part of the equation anymore, was that why this horse took a step forward, or is it just kind of figuring things out? Sun Thunder, you mentioned, Nick, didn't have much of a shot in the Louisiana Derby when they went slow up front with King's Barn wiring out the field. His effort in the Risen Star 2-back did get a good setup that day. A little bit encouraging that he comes back pretty quickly for McPeek, although he's looking to solidify that Derby spot. But what I found most interesting is Brian Hernandez Jr., who's ridden this horse in most of his starts, opts for Mendelssohn's March, a horse I know McPeek has talked highly of, knowing that this is a big step up in class, but he was very professional in that effort over the slot, first try over the main track last time out. He's going to be a pretty good price, maybe a horse to keep an eye on, maybe one that can pick up the pieces.
Maybe the right running style as well, given that he can be a little bit forward. One more to touch on, a single digit on the morning line. Maybe that's not saying much, but Blazing Sevens, who is a prior grade 1 winner, looks to get back to form. What the heck happened in Florida last time?
I don't know. He just didn't really fire at all. And I've always been a little bit dubious of this horse's talent. I mean, the big win came in the Champagne, going a mile over the sloppy going. Did be verifying that day. Ran okay in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I know here in an interview with Chad Brown before the race, he just kind of wanted this horse to take us, run a decent race to set him up for his next start. He definitely didn't do that. If he's anywhere near the morning line price, I will be fading him altogether.
One horse that Scott and I will not be fading is Verifying. My friend, good luck with this bluegrass.
Thank you, man. Let's get this horse home.
Let's look for Verifying to get that good trip from just off the pace. Make sure you're playing along with us at twinspires.com. Take advantage of the new $10,000 Keeneland Spring Meet Leaderboard, also available at twinspires.com, along with a slew of great promotions. Nick Tammaro for Scott Shapiro. Until next time, best of luck.